thing that I want to really like talk about in Nigeria and brands is, let's say like, we're talking about products now. Let's say clothing brand. Most times in Nigeria, they focus more on the packaging, the branding, how it seems, more than the actual quality of the item itself. So what people don't understand is that yes, branding is good. Branding is literally what pushes like how people see your brand, how people relate to your brand, and yeah. But yes, they have seen like your packaging is good, how you post everything, your fit is attractive, and they go and cop something, and at the end of the day, the quality is zero.
That's painful actually.
It's very painful because you would expect more. You're like, for this type of brand, this is not the material you should be using. Do you understand? So when you're out there focusing on your branding, your packaging, make sure you match the energy with the quality of what you're selling.
True.
Definitely.
Because at the end of the day,
Quality.
at the end of the day, people are like, nah, it's just branding. They don't have anything. Because trust me, if a brand that has good quality, right? Let's say their branding is good, what they sell is good, but at the end of the day, you know, of these production people that are making, let's say, your bags.
Yeah.
They mess up the design or something, and then you have to deal with a different bag for a while. People will still patronize because they trust the quality of what you're selling. But if you're focusing solely on the branding and the packaging without making sure what you're putting out there, the quality is great, then you're actually playing at a loss. It's 50-50, I would like to say. It's 50-50. Don't only, I want everything to be yellow themed. I want this to be that.
Okay.
What you're selling, is it matching that brand that you're putting out there?
So basically what you're saying is that beyond branding, the product has to be right too. So branding is just a percentage of the entire thing.
Exactly. Because, you know, funny enough, there are some brands that when you, let's say, I'm still using clothing now because it's
easier, yeah.
Now, there's some brands that with their packaging or with their branding, you don't really expect much. They're like, wow, this quality is good, But there's some brands that you know that I'm going to get something great. So actually, your branding you have to double the quality or double what you're putting out there based on how far or how big you want your brand to be and how big your branding is.
I have to be honest, I feel like some of us do well with branding, but bad product. I think that's what some of us do. Then some of us have bad product. And some of us have good product, bad branding. So how do we now merge both? How do we ensure that both product and branding is good?
So I feel that people don't understand something about brand communication. It's not a one-way road. It's two-way. You say, people listen, and they give feedback to you. So when you give out something to people, you're supposed to carry out a survey. Do people really enjoy this product? That's why content creators, for example, go through their comment section, their engagement. They want to see what people are saying about that content. So that next time they can guide them to doing the same content in a better way or doing something totally different that will be better than what they did the other time. So if you are big on, for example, using myself, for example, back then when I was in school, I started getting wedding gigs, hosting gigs for weddings as early as my 4th year, 4th year in school. But people didn't know that because I used to be a very camera shy person. I didn't care about whatever you think. I just want to get the job done and go back to my house. But I figured out that more jobs are not coming because people don't even believe that you can do that stuff. So what I did was that every wedding I go to that time, I will make sure that I look for the professional photographer there, take a picture. If I have to beg him for 3 weeks or 4 weeks on WhatsApp to send me that picture in good quality, and I post it. And the moment I started posting those pictures on social media, people started like say, wow, oh really, you host weddings now? Are you serious? I've been doing this thing as far back as 2 years ago, but people didn't really care because they didn't see the pictures out there. So at that point, I had to figure out that my branding was as equally important as me doing the job too.
Yeah.
So you don't blame people that actually put a lot of focus on their branding. Although I will never compromise quality because I want to get more visibility. So I feel that as a creative, for example, that's why I say people are good at owning the craft, but some people understand the business of it. So if you're not very good at multitasking your brand at levels like that, get a good manager. Your manager knows what you can do best and how you can improve what you're doing. So your manager is someone that can tell you the truth. A talent comes out, for example, does his own stuff. The manager knows what he did right or what he didn't do right at that point. The manager goes back to the room and say, fam, next time we can put this better, we can reduce this, we can boost this up, and we can increase this. So whatever business you're doing, clothing, fashion, entertainment, communication, politics, whatever you're doing, even politics, you need to understand that feedback is very important. That's why people hire social media managers, they hire image branding people that can put them in the right side that they want to be at all times. So whatever you're doing in branding, understand that you need to get that feedback from your customers and improve your quality. So for me personally, 50-50 quality and 50 also for whatever you want to call it, promotion, branding, visibility, and all that. Thank you.
You initially mentioned feedback, and that's a very important thing in branding because people, the clients or the people or consumers will always give their feedback about like things that we do or what the brand is really about.
Yeah.
So for you, like, how do you handle? Because I imagine that, I mean, after this show, for example, hypothetical case of this show you came on, maybe Clorets brought you on, and I imagine that you probably think that you've done a great job with answering your questions and whatnot, and eventually Cloret reaches out and says, oh, this wasn't great. How do you handle that?
Yeah.
Humility. Humility is the biggest thing that you can own as a brand. You have to be humble to understand that you could be wrong and you can never be right at all times. So when I get a feedback like that, I take it in as honest as it can be, and I look at it, and I have trusted people around me. Oh, fam, what do you think? Do you think these people are right? Do you think these people are right? And stuff. And if they're actually right, because sometimes people use their personal opinions to cloud whatever professional job they're supposed to have. So, for example, when I want to do ads for brands, before I drop their content, I always give them a view or a sneak peek of what it's going to be like. So I've created a content for a furniture brand before. The biggest one I wanted to do for them, I was even ready to go all out and buy props and pay some people to do some things for me on the street. And I told them, and they were like, the story is good, but we think it's bland, we don't like it. The other one that was supposed to be my second option in case that one fails, they were crazy about it. They were like all over me. Like, they were like, can you drop this thing for us now? We love it already. Can we come over and join you? And I'm like, oh, really? So at that point, feedback of wherever you're working with, your audience or your client on the other side matters a lot. And you have to be humble enough. At that point, I couldn't argue that this is better. As a creative, I knew what I felt was better. And I showed my creative friends too. So when they say, oh, I like this stuff, it's nostalgic and stuff, and all. But the client at that point wanted something different. And they're paying the money for it. So if I go to a show, and the owners of the show, like this show, for example, Clorets says they don't like this part of it and stuff. I have to be humble enough to understand that if Clorets thinks this is not good for the brand image, I look inward myself, well, what can I do for next time if I go to a show like this? Even if it's not Clorets, if it's still Clorets, whatever time I'm called on again to do something like this, how can I improve myself? How can I do this better? Life is a journey. I have to grow every day. And these things make me grow, feedbacks.
But what if you believe that you think you did your best? Because sometimes brands have ideas about things that they want. But sometimes us as creatives would bend over backwards for them, would do all sorts, and you understand?
And like some of these brands, they're just getting used to the idea of creatives. Some brands haven't used influencers, social media, like they haven't really. So when you now put out their, like you put out content for them, they believe, I know this is not what we want. But you really know their target audience better. And then how can you now like put it to them that this doesn't work anymore? Like nobody's going to engage with that. But they are so sure. Do you now just deliver what they want you to deliver?
So that's why I said humility. Humility in the sense that no matter what they want to say, I first listen.
Okay.
So when you listen to people, it helps everything to become better. Listening to the fact that they might be correct and they might actually be wrong. So I'll give you an example. Most brands, when they want to advertise, they want you to put the advert in the face of the people that want to consume the content. From the beginning, for example, let me use Clorets for example. Clorets wants you to do an advert. I'm not saying, I'm just using an example. Clorets wants you to, from the beginning of the first second to the last second, Clorets, 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 Clorets. And sometimes in marketing and branding, that's not the most effective way of communicating brands to people. Yeah. People like it when they enjoy something and just tap them with it and they get the message so subtle and so slick. Oh yeah, Clorets. And they're watching the stuff and again, oh, Clorets. And it sticks. But the moment you put it in their face from the beginning, they might get bored and just lose interest. And some brands don't understand that. But first, I listen to Yuki say, what do you have to say? You say whatever you want to say. Then I actually go back to my own people too. I don't say this is what I think because I believe that no man's an island. You can never know it all. So I go back to people I trust their own objectivity too. And if we hold the same opinion, then I go back to the brand and tell them that if you want me to do it your own way, I'm going to do it because who pays the piper dictates the tune. I'm fine with it, but I would like to say this because my name is on this and my brand is involved in this. I think the better way to do this, if you are willing to like reconsider with your team, is to adjust this part and adjust this part. So if they insist at that point, I mean, they're paying for the job. You have to let go at that point. But I still give them my professional opinion. Left to me. Humility, listen first. No matter what, I want to listen first.
For a content creator, right? What do you think? What do you think are like the best brand strategies they should follow for maximum, maximum recognition? And do you advise that a content creator has like a specific niche? So these are like two questions in one. Do you advise that they have a specific niche, or they kind of touch different things or touch specific things? So.
Is that question for me? Yeah, I think personally as a brand, I was very intentional from the beginning. I decided that I wanted to reach everybody, cut across, and still remain authentic. And I feel like one of the things that people can connect with is authenticity, because you know when you are yourself, you know when you're your lowest, you know. I wanted a brand that can touch on all those points, yeah. So I wanted a brand that would speak to people's spirituality, speak to people's lifestyle, speak to people's desires. I would say the things that you want to hear. So I wanted that kind of brand. And when I was building that, I also wanted it to be very sophisticated and not be seen as random. So like I've had people who ask me, oh, Timisan, how do you do it? Your branding, how do you navigate this space? What do you do that's different? And I keep saying the same thing. And I started from the beginning. I listed out what I wanted for the brand and I've stuck to it. And also when I say that one of my brand values is authenticity, it doesn't necessarily mean that I would be so vulnerable and show every part of myself to appear real. Do you understand? Because that in itself is a problem. It's like me saying that I'm very authentic, and on a regular day I should be in sneakers and jeans going to the premiere of a show if I really want to be authentic. But for me, I feel like that's stupid because it's a premiere, right? As he said, you have to act according to what your brand entails. So for me, I wanted a very sophisticated but yet authentic brand, a worry boy who could cut across. Anybody can relate to me, because if you speak Pidgin English in Nigeria, you can relate to Tivite, you understand? So, but also I did not want to be stuck in that idea that people who speak Pidgin English are crass. So I intentionally started doing things that did not project me as crass.
Yeah.
There are certain people that we worked with, creatives who appeal to certain audiences, no matter how great they were at what they were doing. Initially, he had spoken about Shaggy at the beginning. Shaggy is a personal friend, and I think that he's one of the most fantastic creatives to ever come out of Nigeria. But even Shaggy is very aware that he might appeal to the larger audience, but when it needs to be niche, he knows where his niche is. So as someone who had background, like a strong background in comms, I knew that from the beginning I had to start planning out what my branding would be. So I knew that authenticity was part of it, but I didn't want to be regarded as a worry boy who just speaks Pidgin English on Instagram, because you can be relegated to the background when you do that. So I didn't want that. I wanted to cut across every demography, every person. I wanted the mommy in Ikoyi in a penthouse to watch my videos and laugh. I wanted a young boy in a Jegunle to watch my videos and also connect with it. And that's what I did with Pidgin English. And also I made a lot of sacrifices, from fashion to association. And people tend to not know that these are big things. Yeah, I will always tell my manager, even when we get into fights about like why I shouldn't shop, why I should not buy clothes, what this amount, why I should not go broke buying clothes. I'm just like, bro, this is showbiz. Fashion is a huge part of it, and I've seen what it has done for my brand over time. Association is also a big part of it. Like, to be honest, if you want to build a certain type of brand, people associate you with the people that you move with. Do you understand? Yeah. So you have to be intentional about these things. And these are the small things that we tend to overlook because we're trying to be authentic and we don't see the actual thing that we're trying to do. If you're trying to build a brand, I'm sure Apple thinks that they are authentic. They are the most authentic brand because they've stuck to their value. Sophistication. It's a bit expensive, but you'll buy it because it's premium. You know that it's premium. I think that's what we have to understand. And these are the sacrifices that a lot of us make for our brand. what are the sacrifices that you think that you will make to create the ideal brand?
All right, from
Or
this.
would not make, for example?
All right, from the inception of my brand, I've been making sacrifices, some personal, some that I could talk about. But the biggest goal I want to have towards sacrifices I make towards my brand is putting a touch of quality to whatever I do. So because I want to create the content that I want people to relate to, does not mean that I compromise on particular standards. I want anybody that watches it. So you're a Nollywood producer, Hollywood producer, you could see the effort that I was trying to achieve quality what I was doing. So sometimes I have to like spend money that I don't even have out of my way, go out of my way to make some things happen. So I shop like every other content creator does. I put money behind my brand. I put money behind my content. I put money behind my production. I put a touch of quality to it. So basically that's all about the sacrifice I make actually.
Okay, so if the sacrifices that you make is basically the quality time that you
Towards
put into
the touch of
creating
quality.
the thing.
Yeah.
And the money, because like
For you though, what is it?
see, it's when I put out content for brands, I want it to be amazing. I want it to be, they look at it and like, this is professional content. So there's this particular brand that I'm working with. When I first put out content for them, like when I started, I know like how the brand was. So I wanted to match that energy and I wanted to overtake that energy. So I went all out. I went to do studio this, studio that, and the video that came out of it was nice. Like it was amazing. So when it was time to do another video, now that's one thing. Once you've started, your second video
Yeah, the
cannot
pedestal,
be
yeah.
it can be lower.
Yes,
So
to go
I
higher.
had to now go all out again for the second. And best believe for any brand, I would go all out, and then the next one I would
Sell
top
your
it
market.
over and over again. So Timmy, thank you so much for coming here.
Oh
today.
wait, we're not done. I just need to ask one final thing that
said
has been on
don't
my
call
mind.
me.
No. This is actually a very honest question for us. I mean, you're in the same space as me, and you understand how we do these things now. So, what is there a borderline between faking it till you make it and actually just going all out to say I'm pushing my career and I'm gonna get this? Is there a relationship between faking it till you make it and sacrificing for your brand?
So it's just like you're trying to posit between branding and lying. Lying is lying, and branding is not looking like what you have been through. It's as basic
Just to
as
say
that.
that again.
Lying is lying. Branding is not looking like what you have been through. So the fact that I know a guy that does content that came from Warri, from whatever suburbs of Warri came from, but she's trying to look sophisticated, that's branding. But coming from Warri and lying that you grew up in America or whatever place, that's lying. So there's a borderline between that. So there's a borderline between all of that. So branding is simply passing your message. Even when people...
I love it so much. I love it.
The love is mutual anyways, actually. So as I was saying before the interruption, branding is passing a message. Even when people don't like you or they don't love you, they still remember what you stand for. So if someone wants to throw a jab at me right now, you still remember how wrong now. That's a brand. That's a message. Lying.
Do you think people need to update like they are? I mean, like, I feel like
Timmy, thank you so much, Timmy, for coming down to the show today. It's been amazing.
It's quiet. It's quiet. I think I've learned a lot of things from myself
Yeah.
and Timmy as well. And I hope that you guys have taken the learnings and you guys will apply it to your different brands that you currently run. And I wish you a happy, happy, happy day ahead. Enjoy yourself.